Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. This one is a little bit different, I know, but if you have been following along on my journey with the Secrets of the Elite Woman program, you may have seen there was a unit, a lesson, a module that was talking all about therapy, and I did touch on that in my previous video. You can go check that out, I'll have it linked right here. And I did go into some of the different types of therapy that I've had and how I found that it benefited my life. Now, over the past few weeks, I have been doing a different type of therapy that I've never done before, and that is hypnotherapy. And although I won't be going into maybe some of the reasons of why I'm going to hypnotherapy, etc., I mean, I do think that I will go into it at a certain time, but it's not the right time right now. I thought I would introduce you to my hypnotherapist, Sophie. Sophie is a real gem. It's been such a journey with her over just even a few short weeks, but I'm really excited to see the progress that I've been making. So if you are unfamiliar with hypnotherapy, let me introduce you to Sophie and just kind of take you through some of the questions that I asked her. So I am at hypnotherapy with the lovely Sophie West, and I just wanted to ask her a few questions. I've been asking for a few weeks, so I'm gonna put you a little bit on a podium, Sophie, and I'm gonna ask you these questions. But first I wanted Sophie to kind of explain, how does hypnotherapy differ from other forms of therapy? Because if you've seen other videos on my channel, you will know that I've done different types of therapy before, and I am not the professional. So I'm gonna let Sophie explain how hypnotherapy differs to other different types of therapy.
So we use hypnosis because we can get, I suppose we're different from other types of therapies. We are quite rapid. We have the intellectual part of the brain. We also have the primitive part of the brain. That's the part we use. And we use hypnosis because when we get our client to relax, their intellectual part of the brain goes off somewhere else and relaxes. They think about their shopping, whatever they've got to do. And then the primitive part of the brain is the part I use, and then we can access that. And then we can give it some lovely suggestions, and that's how the magic happens. We are different from other therapies in the way that there's no manipulation, there's no drugs or anything, and there is no mind control. You're constantly aware of everything, Nicole, aren't you? It's yeah, you can hear people walking about, seagulls. It's all very relaxing. All very safe. So the next question that I have for Sophie is about faking it until you make it, because I'm of the mindset most of the time that you shouldn't fake it until you make it. You should like try it until you become it. And I think I've had a little bit of working around to do when it comes to this, because sometimes I think it doesn't actually matter. Your brain just has to hear certain things. So I'm gonna let Sophie explain the whole faking it till you make it and how the brain can kind of differentiate between if something is real or if something you're just thinking about something in your head. So with hypnosis, what we want our clients to do, we want them to be, we are solution focused. We want you to be focusing on the future, how you want your life to be. We cannot go back and change the past. We can do, you know, there's no point in, we do talk about past if the client wants to go over it, but we predominantly go forward. We want how our clients' lives to be, so we future focus. And what we focus on, we're going to attract more into our lives. So rather than negatively forecast, we don't want our clients negatively forecasting, going back over things in the past negatively, catastrophizing about the future. We want them to be thinking about the great times in their lives. We want them to be doing that, because when they do that, they're going to produce the neurotransmitter serotonin, which acts as a catalyst for this sort of healthy brain behavior. When you produce serotonin, you're going to feel amazing, you're going to feel on your A game, it makes your medication work better, all sorts of things. But also what it's going to do is also going to deplete the stress chemicals, adrenaline and cortisol, the ones we don't want. So we're all about future focus.
So the next question that I have for Sophie is in regards to exercise, because I know who doesn't want to look better. I know I want to look better, but I think sometimes when you start to exercise, you're not only doing it for how you look on the outside, but you're also doing it for things up here. So I'm just going to have Sophie explain that.
Another great question. So with exercise, exercise is everything. We want our clients to be thinking positively, we want our clients to be interacting positively, and we want them to be active positively. Because when you do those things, especially with the exercise, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be releasing BDNF. Now, I can't pronounce this correctly, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, that is basically like fertilizer for the brain. When you do that, it's going to, everything is going to, you know, give you so many great feelings. We want you to be producing those chemicals. By also doing exercise, you're going to be producing, as we've talked about before, serotonin. We want that because, as I say, that's going to be that amazing, healthy neurotransmitter that we want for you to have forward-focused behavior. When you're forward-focused, you're not going to be going over things negatively.
So the next question that I have for Sophie is all about different obstacles and existing blockages that we might have and how that holds us back. I feel like she touched on it a little bit with like thinking positively and negatively, etc. But I'm gonna have her answer it.
So with our clients, we want to, we do quite a lot of work before we go into trance, where we get the client to focus on how they want things to be. We want them to focus on what triggers the problem, what makes things better, how they can control the problem, what small steps they're going to take to move forwards to achieve their goals, and what will be different when the problem is no longer there. All of these type of things we want our clients to be thinking about, because this is, and then we use trance because this is when the client will take those answers in, and this is when the magic happens, and that's how we get to work.
So the last question that I have for Sophie is all about the primitive part of the brain, because I think this is one of the things I'm geeking out the most on in hypnotherapy, and how the primitive part of the brain works, because sometimes he's always listening and you don't realize it. And I think that is what also you have to take into consideration when you're having negative self-talk or you're replaying some of the same bad thoughts in your head over and over again. And that's kind of what led me to ask some of the other questions. So I'm gonna pass it over to Sophie and she's gonna answer how, or tell us a little bit more about how the primitive part of the brain works.
Another great question, Nicole. So basically, with the primitive part of the brain, when we are in the primitive part of the brain, we're always going to be having negative thoughts. That's just the way he rolls. So we need our clients to be working out what is the effect of my negative thinking. Does it help me? Does it hinder me? Those kind of things. And what would happen if I was viewing things less negatively? And we don't want our clients mentally filtering. We don't want them to just be focusing on one kind of negative thing. It's almost as if, say, if you are in the primitive part of the brain, you're going to be almost looking like, it sounds a bit strange, roll with me, Nicole. You're almost looking down a toilet roll or the problem, rather than panning out. We want our clients to be panning out and focusing on everything that's going well, and then we're going to have intellectual control. So how does
it stop us from like reaching our goals? And like when you say that the primitive part of the brain is like a 3-year-old, like is it like, I love how you explain that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the primitive part of the brain, neuroscientists tell us that it has the same mentality as a 3-year-old child. So basically, we don't want to be, you wouldn't get in a car with a 3-year-old. You don't want a 3-year-old to be controlling your weight loss or your addiction problems. Okay, so we can go more into that with each client. But basically, the primitive part of the brain is very similar to fight-flight. You don't want to be in fight-flight all the time. It's exhausting. We want our clients to have intellectual control, and that's what we do here. We get our clients out of their primitive part of the brain so they have intellectual control. So then they can make intellectual decisions about how they want their life.
And then if anybody wanted to book in with you, how do they do that? Do they have a consultation first? Do they just call and ring up? Do they go to
just book and email me. Take a look at my website, because then you can see how we work, and you can have a look at the reviews of all the clients that we've helped. Just take a look, and you can find out more from the website. But if you want to make an appointment, just pop in, and if you'd rather have a chat, first of all, we can find out a little bit more about the situation.
Oh yeah, because you're still offering Zoom, right?
Absolutely. Zoom's really popular. I've only got one walk-in client today.
Oh wow.
And the rest are all Zooms. Clients love Zoom because they can wear the slippers.
Yeah.
And there's no stairs.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a lot of stairs here.
Thank you. So that is it. A quick, brief introduction to hypnotherapy. Honestly, I cannot give you, I'm just trying to honor my process. It's not that I'm seeing her for anything that is secretive or private, but I'm just kind of trying to honor the process. But I did want to introduce you to her now and kind of just give you a little bit of a taste test of what hypnotherapy is about, because I had no idea about what it is, how it worked, etc. And I even said to some of my friends afterwards, like, you held out on me. Why didn't you tell me about this previously? So if you have tried hypnotherapy, I would love to know your thoughts on it. If you haven't and it intrigued you, I would love to hear your thoughts too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.